Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast hosted by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Sammons, and in each episode, we'll uncover the stories behind impactful startups, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we're joined by Charlie Ferriman, the co-founder of Neurodiversity Global, an organization dedicated to helping workplaces and communities embrace neurodiversity through training, workshops, and coaching. Charlie, very warm welcome to Founders Future. Thank you for joining
Hi.
me.
Yeah, lovely to be here.
Awesome. So let's jump into it. So with all my guests, I like to start at the beginning of their journey. So what was it that you was doing before you started up Neurodiversity Global? And then what motivated you to do that?
It's always an interesting question when it comes to the background behind Neurodiversity Global because I didn't come out of a workplace. I didn't just finish uni. It was an interesting time and a bit of a roller coaster through that. But I just came back from Thailand. And that's a big part of my story from being diagnosed with ADHD at 17, where I was told for a lot of the time that I would never amount to anything.
Mm.
And I tried the academic side of things, it didn't work out. And with a very long conversation, it was a one-way flight and it was a go around the world kind of conversation. It took me 3 months. Within that, I ended up running the largest hostel in Southeast Asia for around 18 months. So that
Nice.
started my venture into understanding people, management, how people work, how different minds work. And I was also understanding myself at that time and learning more about my own diagnosis. That's when I came together with my co-founder, who is also my father. So we are a family-run business.
Okay.
And it was, we need to do something. We'd already started posting about it. We'd already started building the awareness. And it was, let's take the next step. Let's go beyond just spreading the awareness through that and actually bring some action to it. Let's go and make a change, not only for us, as we are both neurodivergent, but also for my brothers, who we do talk about a lot within all of our sessions. One in particular, George, he is 13 now, but he's multiple co-occurring conditions from autism, Tourette's, ADHD, PTSD. He's a cancer survivor from the age of 3. And yeah, so we want to build a life for him and for everyone out there who feels like they have to mask or hide behind someone who they don't feel like they truly are. And so that's where this was born. It was time to take action.
Amazing. And how long ago did we start this up? So how long ago was the trip to Thailand? Give us some time frames that we can play with and get an image in our mind.
Yeah, so I left for Thailand, I want to say the beginning of 2023.
Okay,
We'd
nice.
started up the business just before I left, which started as a company called Neurodiversity Workshops. So that was, I want to say, March 24. We then moved into the name that is now Neurodiversity Global in October of last year. So it's officially been 11 months with the new brand and scaling to where we have now.
Amazing. And I want to dive into what it is the business looks like today. So can you walk me through your ideal customer and then from there, how it is that you help people and the services that you provide?
So we mainly look at businesses. We do workplace, education, sport, public sector. We cover all industries. And so it's a very versatile service. 20% of the population neurodivergent. And so it's within every industry, it's within every partnership, it's within every population of people. And so we adapt to different environments within that. But mainly at the moment, we've been looking at the corporate side of things. When it comes to workplaces, the hidden 20% within that. So I would say that's our main focus. We normally reach out to the HR, the EDI, the wellbeing, learning development side of things.
Okay.
We have people coming to us from every job role, everywhere. A lot of the EIG leads that are starting to build now are reaching out to us directly or employees, and then we're building a business case with them to go out to their own business. We span everyone, everywhere. And it can be a very interesting time of trying to figure out which one to go for first.
I can imagine. And then, so once you're in there and you're working with the people, I'm assuming you go in and it's coaching within a business. So you're coaching leadership and downwards from there to help with ADHD and neurodiversity. Amazing.
Yes.
And so, what is the core offer itself in terms of how long do you usually spend within a company? What is it that you usually work on them with? What does that side of it look like?
So we have our, I want to say, four core workshops. So we have an aware workshop, which is the foundational understanding of what is neurodiversity, what is this language, what are these terms, what are the conditions, and how do they present. Within that, we are giving the foundational awareness of neurodiversity. This is for everyone. So anyone can attend. We have maximum numbers to keep our engagement quite high, but these are very psychologically safe spaces. We try not to record any of our sessions to make sure if people do open up, people do want to have these conversations, then they feel like they can.
Yeah.
We also stay on after for all of our sessions and make sure any one-to-ones and personal Q&A is spoken about, because a lot of what we talk about does get very personal. So that's our main one that is widespread across businesses. We then have our champions, which is more for the people in those roles of the DEI, well-being, the network leads, the people who want to advocate within the business. So we're giving them strategies, we're giving them ways to go out, resources. So that takes a little bit deeper, and we
Yeah.
go deeper into the different conditions, how they present, different strategies. We then move into managers. Within businesses, managers are the key point between the leadership and employees. And so they almost take a lot of strain quite a lot of times. And so with them, we're looking beyond the conditions, we're looking at the strategies, we're looking at communication, team dynamics, how to bring up those difficult conversations if they need to be brought up. We're looking at PIPs, we're looking at SOPs, we're looking at person environment fit. So
Nice.
that's more strategy based, and it's the understanding of how do we deal with it within our teams, but also make sure we're not burning out in the process. Everything in which we talk about is still based around accountability and responsibility. Neurodiversity is never an excuse in that. And so we try to instill that within all of our workshops.
Love it.
Then we move into our leadership workshops, and this is where we are discussing the business side of actually why are we talking about this? What is the ROI for our business? We're bringing in the facts that are coming out: a 40% increase in productivity, massive increase in retention. And actually, we're building the business case with the leadership. We're sitting in a boardroom style. We're going
Mhm.
back and forth, we're discussing, and we're going through the different steps of how do we bring as much ROI from the people that are already within our business without costing extra, without it being overly expensive, because actually we don't need to spend a lot when it comes to neuro-inclusivity. Simple behavioral changes can create such a big impact.
100%.
So there are four main workshops. We also drop in a lot of consultancy within that. We've built out certain frameworks that we do utilize through different cycles, but within all of our services, we tailor, we bespoke, and we make sure that actually the company that has come out to us is getting as much value as possible from these sessions. So they bespoke and they change well all the time.
Yeah, I love it. And as they should, as you say, to adapt the company and what they need from it. And obviously the people that you're helping with them then as well, the leaders, just getting the knowledge out for the ADHD. Are you finding at the moment, because ADHD is a current trend, I actually myself have ADHD. I probably should have said that to you earlier on. I was diagnosed when I was about 27, so only a couple of years ago. And I would say it's probably a rising trend, the awareness side of it online. Are you finding that's a very similar thing happening within workplaces, like within business spaces at the moment as well?
People are starting to talk about it. The conversation is starting to happen, which is great. We do say in a lot of our workshops, actually, the one thing I want you to do when you leave this workshop is have the conversation with someone else.
Yeah.
Start the conversation. It doesn't matter if you may get the language not correct the entire time. Don't be worried about that. But actually, it's the acceptance and it's the curiosity to learn and understand more. Yes, I believe people are starting to understand it more, but we need to be careful of other things around dopamine addiction. social media, especially within the Gen Z population at the moment. And
Mhm.
they've been brought up around social media, around 15-second videos that are spiking people's dopamines. And so at this point, it becomes a similar presentation when that is taken away. But
Yeah.
where we see the difference between something like dopamine addiction and ADHD is where they'll return back to a baseline where someone with ADHD won't.
Yeah.
So, yes, the conversation's yeah. And on the news, we have seen it being used as an excuse on more than one occasion. But it's the people that do need the help, the people that do need the support will receive it. And we just need to go from there in a sense of building out.
Yeah, and taking it for everybody. Global is in the
Yeah.
name, so I'm loving it. So walk us through a little bit. I want to get into the nuts and bolts of the business. Walk us through a little bit what the sales and marketing look like. I know it's your dad, you and your dad working on the business at the moment. Is there anyone else around that's helping you? Do you have a team behind you? Let's walk me through that side of things a little bit.
No. So it is Rich and I. Rich is ex-IBM. He was an executive partner, has done 30 plus years in corporate leadership and is our lead trainer. So
Amazing.
he does bring that workplace experience and the corporate education behind everything he has done over the past 30 years into the business, which has probably helped me learn a lot in a very short amount of time. But in terms of our sales and our marketing, for me, anyway, I'm more in person. I've learned to find this, and through a lot of what we talk about, we say to utilize our strengths. My strengths in person. I love talking to people in person, being around. So I go to a lot of expeditions, I exhibit a lot, and so I'm creating the conversation in person. But we also run online marketing, email campaigns. We have open workshops that we do. One of the most recent ones that we did was a open parents workshop to understand neurodiversity in children and take the parent side of things. So we have lots of different channels. I think it depends on who we're trying to reach and how we're trying to reach them. But LinkedIn, things like Instantly as well, we use a lot. But I value personally the in-person side of things and building that connection first.
Amazing. And how, so you did mention there obviously some channels of how you're going about acquiring customers. What ones are you finding most effective? And are you running any form of ads or is it purely organic at the moment?
It's purely organic at the moment. We took a bit of a deep dive into things like SEO a little while
Yeah.
ago. So we're ranking quite high on certain keywords that are coming up, which is good. So we do get some organic traffic through that. LinkedIn is obviously a main way of reaching out to people, going out to people, exploring those connections. So we utilize that quite a lot. And we also work in partnership with ACAS. So we do sessions that go out to widespread companies. We are doing one, I believe it's tomorrow,
Yes.
an ACAS workshop. So
How cool. And when you're, I probably should have asked this earlier on, but when you're working within the organizations, within the companies with your clients, is this mainly done in person or do you do that coaching online as well?
we do online and in person. It's a conversation of with everyone who remote works, hybrid works at the moment, sometimes that in person isn't feasible.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of online sessions, but we do say if we can get an in-person session going, it does bring up the energy and the communication a lot more.
I can imagine going a lot of people bouncing around a room, which must bring great like joy and excitement when you work as well. Pretty
Yes.
cool. Amazing. So, would you ever consider running any form of ads to increase your outreach and reach people like that? What are your thoughts behind the scaling side of the marketing?
In all honesty, what we've got is working at the moment. We are building different channels, we're experimenting with different things, and in the space that we're in, it's quite niche. And so we're still understanding the different ways of going out with things like ads, because we couldn't go out to a B2C market if we're trying to target very certain people within B2B. And so I think as we build out further developments in terms of products that we want to release later down the line, different services we want to release later down the line, then we'd be looking more towards targeted ads. But at the moment, I would say the organic building the network has been working. And we've also got quite a large partnership with another company within this space that we
Nice.
do a lot of work with as well.
Okay, cool. So yeah, it's like options to scale, but the organic side is bringing fruit for the moment, which is nice to see. So what are the plans for the next 12 months? Do you have any cool projects that you're open to sharing that you're working on at the moment, or any targets that you're looking to achieve?
There's always targets we want to achieve. We've got a few things in the pipeline at the moment that are really exciting, and a few companies where we're looking at building out from their UK hub to the global market with them and their offices all around the world. So that's really exciting. We do have some other things going on that I won't say too much about because I want them confirmed before we do discuss that any further. But one of the main ones is a partnership with a company called Cognosist, who do cognitive mapping for education, workplace. They are 50 full-time employees, a very big brand within the space. So we're very glad to be in partnership with them at the moment. So it's just about seeing where that goes. It's probably one of the main priorities.
Amazing. And what would you say is the biggest challenge in making all this happen at the moment and any bottlenecks you've had to go through to make these changes?
It's still very early with neurodiversity. So, as much as the awareness is being discussed and talked about, people aren't always seeing the business benefit, the business case behind why neuro-inclusion within businesses is so important. And so, I think it's that it's coming into a very niche market, but also a very new market. And so, it's how do we build up the right way is probably
Yeah,
the biggest bottleneck at the moment.
cutting through the noise because it is, as we mentioned and touched on before, up and coming. It's all over the place at the moment. And there's a lot of noise that maybe isn't necessarily accurate. Would that be fair
Yeah.
to say as well? So with that being said, how do you feel like you're positioning yourself above the noise? Is there anything that's making you guys stand out at the moment and why people should be choosing to work with you over another company that's providing the same thing?
One of the main ones we talk about is balance. We see two very different sides to when people talk about neurodiversity. One is a very evangelical side of things. We're not looking at it from we want this to just be the focus. We are creating inclusion within companies for everyone, not just the 20%. And so we look at the business case, we look at the business side of things, we look at accountability, we look at responsibility. And so we're never just one-sided in this conversation. We always try to look at both sides and understand actually how do we build this together to create a better business. So
Perfect.
that's probably our main one. Secondly, we are lived experience. What we talk about is what we live every day. Is our own problem to solve. I wrote an article recently around I am my own case study. The problems that I've learned, the situations that I've been in, and the scenarios that I've dealt with have ultimately helped me understand and be able to put people in my shoes or in someone who is neurodivergent shoes
Yeah.
in order to understand what we're talking about and why we're talking about it. There are
Love
two
it.
main ones. But we've also trained all around the world, around 25,000 people trained in 600 plus businesses, and a few of the above are there.
Amazing. Love it. And 100% I feel like the empathy that you get from ADHD as well helps you understand people within the neurodiversity space on a whole other level because as you say, you've lived it, you've gone through it, you know what it is, but you also have that you need to search and look for yourself. So amazing. Now, just before we log out, I've got a couple of lightning round questions that I want to shoot through. So if you could go back to 2023, 2022, maybe while you're still in Thailand mode, and you could only leave yourself with one piece of advice moving forward, what would that be?
Never say no to an opportunity.
Love it.
There were, I think there were too many times when I probably was too worried, wasn't thinking, or went with what everyone else was telling me to go with, and I didn't necessarily think for myself. And as soon as I started to, I actually thrived and succeeded really well. So I'd say, yeah, never say no to an opportunity.
Awesome. And what would you say has been the biggest game changer within the company so far in terms of tools and resources?
I think AI is a big one. Of There was so much we wanted to do 4 or 5 years ago, and it just never seemed to be the right time. There was always one thing missing. And now that AI is starting to build up, we've started to see where those holes and those gaps are being filled by AI, which is working perfectly because we've taken a lot of what we've learned from way before we started this and bringing it into where we are now, which is also what I'm very much excited for soon enough. Tools wise, understanding different systems that we're using, there are so many systems coming out at the
Yeah.
moment that are starting to fill the gaps that maybe some of the older systems didn't always have. And so, you know, looking through multiple, I think one at the moment for me is Clarify.ai, which
Okay.
is an autonomous AI CRM, but it's still very early days for them as well. But for how much it costs, it's amazing for everything of making sure actually we've got deal summaries ready, we have prep notes ready, we have an understanding of where everyone is, just a quick glance.
Amazing. Yeah, AI is definitely a popular answer for that question, and rightly so, because as you say, it's making little things happen that maybe we wouldn't necessarily be able to do on our own a few years
Yeah.
ago, and filling in questions, holes, answers that we needed to go. So, as a final question, and as a message to our listeners, i- anyone who is just at the start of their own journey, what advice would you help them with and leave for them?
There's one sentence I've always been told from, I can't even remember how long ago now, and it was go to the opening of a crisp packet if it meant you have the opportunity to have one conversation. So by that I mean if there's an event on, if there's a networking event on, go. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if it's not in your niche or anything else, you're building up confidence, you're talking to people, you're gaining experience of how do we go into those team dynamics. And some of the conversations that I've had from that have changed the way that we look at things completely. And so I spent a lot of my time before we really grew to actually just going out and having conversations with as many people as I can. And the other one is just start. Doesn't matter if you get it wrong first, just start.
Just that, and I suppose it's what answers the other one. You can always just leave. Like you might as well go to all these opportunities, turn
Yeah.
up, be that person. Love it. And with that powerful piece of wisdom, that is a wrap on another inspiring episode of Founders Future. Charlie, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us. Where can people reach out to work with you and connect if they'd like to do so?
So Charlie Ferriman on LinkedIn or neurodiversityglobal.com is our website, and you can fill out a contact form there or give us a call or email us from there.
Amazing. And to our listeners as well, please do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future by wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from 0 to 30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep climbing and we will see you on the next one.